All right, YouTube. I had to step out of the barn because it's getting warm in there. It's gonna be up to 94 with a feel like of like 92 of feel like 94 with a feel like of like 102 today, and so I had to get out of the barn because it was probably tell I'm sweating here. So we're out here sitting on the diamond plate toolbox, and we're going to talk about the next thing. These are in no particular order. This is something that you're going to need in your self-sufficient toolkit, and they are squares. You're going to want to make sure that you get a good brand name. I swear by, as far as speed squares go, I swear by Swanson speed squares. This, to me, this is when I'm building sheds, when I'm doing barns, sheds, decks. This is actually my son's, the set that I got for my son. This is in my hands 1,000 times a day or more. You're going to want a speed square. The speed square that you get is going to need to have a mark at 3.5 inches because a 2x4 is 3.5 inches wide. You're going to want these little scribing lines so that you can hook this on the edge of a board, and you'll know that you're exactly 2 inches from the edge of that board if you go rip it. And you put a pencil in there and you follow it along and you make the mark. You're going to want a speed square. I'm tripping over my words. I'm getting my words mixed up. You're going to want a speed square specifically because this is 90 degrees right here, right? This is 90 degrees. And this is 45 degrees. When you take this, see if I got a piece of wood here so I can show you. In situ, as they say. A speed square, oh, that's all dirty, but that doesn't matter. This is one of the slabs of 2x6 that I will use. Actually, that's probably more like a 2x8 that I will use to do. I'll put that under the jack when I'm jacking up our vehicles. Actually, I'm sorry, that is a 2x6. So, see how that's hooked over the end of the board? It's got that nice lip. Slides right on the edge of that board and it locks in there. Put a pencil in there. Keep it square like I didn't. And you can scribe right there. Something very, very useful about this, it is also a protractor. If I were to scribe that right now, that is at 30 degrees. That cut would be a 30-degree angle. Something else that this is very useful for. See how there's degrees there? That is also a 7/12 roof pitch. You can do roof pitches. This is how I do rafters. A lot of guys use a framing square. I use this. You can even use this for hip rafters, which are really complicated and really a pain in the butt, but it has the tables for them to be able to do it. See, you got a 30-degree angle, it's a 7/12 roof pitch, and it's a 10 as far as a hip roof is concerned. There are so many different things that you can use this for. So many different ways that you will find you can use this speed square as part of your toolkit. You can use it as a guide for a circular saw to make a perfect 90-degree cut. You can use it as a guide for a perfect 40-degree cut. 45-degree cut. Speed square is an incredibly useful tool. I will not do any kind of carpentry work, any kind of masonry work, honestly, without a speed square. It is, I think this kit, the two of them together, I bought this for my son just recently. I think this entire kit was under 20 bucks. And these are two of the most useful tools you will ever have. You can do so much with these. There's different ways to see this mark here. After you mark the roof rafter, you come down and the line right here will intersect with the angle. You trace out the rest of it, and you've automatically got your bird's mouth seat cut. It's such a humble tool. It's such a incredibly useful tool. I use this all the time as a nice long straight edge. Put it down, mark a straight edge. If you need to connect 2 points or something to that effect, find that really useful doing smart siding and vinyl siding. You will find that you need a straight edge, and that's going to be the quickest straight edge you got. You don't have to find a piece of wood. You don't have to go down and get a level. You've got it right there, and it will work great. There's also a way to use, I'm probably going to do a separate video on that. There's a way to use a speed square to find the pitch of a roof. You use a speed square and a plumb bob or a level. Either one will do it. It looks like a simple tool. It's a piece of aluminum. But you can do so much with this. This is such a valuable tool. I would say get the Swanson Speed Square. You want a good name, and Swanson is the original company that invented the Speed Square. It's a Joe Swanson Speed Square. For those of you who think I sound like Family Guy. Definitely get, and like I said, these come in a kit for less than 20 bucks. You want the Speed Square. You also want, and I have much more accurate versions of this made by iGaging down in my wood shop. You're going to want a combination square. Now, it's not nearly as versatile as the Speed Square, but you can see, if I can do this, yes I can, you can see how you can move that ruler. What my son and I use this the most for, see how that's right at 3.5? We use that to gauge the overhang of smart siding at the bottom of a shed. Another way that we use this all the time is the overhang for shingles when we're roofing a shed. Go to 1.5 inches. Boom, right there. That's your overhang for the shingles. Obviously, this has a little level on it. You can use it for minor leveling things, just like kind of getting a rough estimate that, okay, yeah, this is close to where I want it. It's got a 45-degree leg here. So you put that on there. That's a 45-degree angle. Put this on there. That's a 90-degree angle. What I find this most useful for in the setting of, in my tool bags, I always carry a speed square and a 6-inch combination square. It just makes my life easier. This, 9 times out of 10, I'm using this for gauging. You set the depth of door reveals with this, like the trim carpentry around a door. You want like an 1/8 inch, different measurements, an 1/8 inch, things like that to give you a little shadow line. This is perfect for that. Do I really use it for squaring? Not a whole lot, not a ton, but it does work. It is a square and you can use it to that effect. They also make these in 12 inches, and I have a good set, really nice set of iGaging combination squares in the workshop in the basement. I would recommend it, like Swanson, Empire, the Stanley, the ones that are only going to cost you like 10 bucks, 15 bucks. They're fine for 6-inch squares. their 12 inches are never really, they're usually out by a 16th and something like, or an eighth. And they're not as accurate as they should be. The eye gauging ones are as accurate as Starrett's, which cost 100 and something a piece. I grew up watching Norm Abram. You guys know who Norm Abram is? This Old House and New Yankee Workshop. Every episode he had a 12-inch Starrett combination square in a little sheath on his tool belt. And I wanted one for years, but I'm not going to go and spend a ridiculous amount on it. So I bought the ones that cost like $30 and $40 a piece. And I find they are just as accurate. I find that they do everything I need in a woodworking, metalworking type environment. As far as carpentry, finish carpentry, framing, even making, you're pouring concrete forms. You're, especially when you're doing the stair forms, you are going to find this invaluable. You are going to need this, and this is going to solve so many of your problems. This is going to let you set it and forget it, as they say. You need to make everything hang over by 1.5 inches. Boom, it's at 1.5 inches. You set it at 1.5 inches. It's got a little 6-inch ruler on it. See that? 6 inches. Any measurement between 1 and 6, you can repeat it over and over and over again until you don't need to. Everybody always talks about, ooh, there's a secret tool. There's a secret tool on the combination square. Secret tool. So I'm going to talk about it too. On the back of it, see how there's a little hole there? I just took this out of that hole to scratch all. I have never used it. I have never found the need to use it, but it's there. It's there. Another way that you can use this that I find very useful. See how these, no, I gotta turn you around. See how these scribe marks, there's these scribe marks here and they go up to 3.5. I gotta draw a line on this board at 5 inches. So I set this. Oh, hold on. Bear with me. I set this at 5 inches. Exactly at 5 inches, see? Put it on here, like that. Put a pencil, a razor blade, marker, whatever you're using, the very end of that. You can scribe along any distance you need in between 1 and 6 inches. Is it going to be overly accurate? Not really, because it's going to have the thickness of the pencil lead or the Sharpie marker, whatever you're using, at the end of it. Is it enough for framing? Is it enough for trim on the outside of a structure, fascia, soffits? Oh, you bet it is. If you want to get really fine with it, use a mechanical pencil. That'll do it. That'll make it what I would call finish carpentry accurate. You want to get woodworking accurate with it? Like if you're one of those, I'm not one of those ones who it has to be like the micro tolerances. When I do woodworking, if it's to a 32nd, that's good enough for me. Most of the time, if it's to a 16th, that's good enough for me. Some people are really into, oh, it has to be to a 64th and this and that. Put a razor blade. Instead of a pencil, put a razor blade right there. You get more than accurate enough for what you need. I'm making outdoor furniture. I'm making hammock stands, picnic tables, Adirondack chairs. I'm making cabinets to go in the tool sheds that I build. This is not really high end. I mean, it's a good product. It's a solid product, and it's square plumb and true. This is not something you're going to put in your multi-thousand-dollar kitchen in an apartment in New York City. I don't have the patience for that. I do what God lets me do. God gave me the patience to be able to build tool sheds and barns and outdoor furniture, and I am grateful for that. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm some high-end, what's his name, Peter Sellers with the hand-cut dovetails. I do hand-cut dovetails, but if I make a mistake, I don't recut them. I just take a little bit of glue and a little bit of sawdust, and that's the end of it. I build the type of furniture that I'm making is what I would call farmhouse furniture. It's livable furniture. It's furniture that I can make in an afternoon because we need a new coffee table, because we need whatever. I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna use it. I also sell them, and I want to have something that I'm gonna be able to turn out, like I said, in 2-3 hours, so that I can have a product at the end of it that I'm selling. If you want to get into the really fine, really high-end, I can't think of the guy's name. What's his name? Anarchist Toolkit, Chris Schwarzenegger, I think. Chris Schwartzman, something like that. He does everything really high-end, all hand tools, and I've got a full hand tool woodworking kit. I do. It's in a nice little box downstairs, and it's what I do to amuse myself. If I'm going to be doing something that I'm going to be selling, something that I need a finished product quickly, I'm not going to be using that. There are people who do only that, and they have like they make joints that are watertight, airtight. That's not what I'm doing. I am a carpenter who does a little bit of joinery, and I'm a farmer. I'm not an artist with wood, but there are some people who are. So for my needs, for what I'm doing, for self-sufficient needs, the Swanson Speed Square that has stuff on it. I don't know what's on there, but it has something on there. And the Swanson 6-inch combination square are gonna meet your needs. If you want to be like me, if you want to live a lifestyle similar to mine, if you want to get to the point where you got to build a tool shed, you got to build a pump house, you got to build a little shed for your generator that you want to have the tools to work on. These squares are gonna do it for you. They're gonna really do it for you. I am gonna talk about, while we're here, because I think it's something that you should have, and I didn't at the beginning of the video. And as I was sitting here rambling, now hoping that I can pull it out without too much effort. Oh, I've committed to it. Now I gotta dig through it. I'm gonna dig through it to find it. Yeah, it should be right over here. There is a third square. Originally, I was just sitting there thinking, all right, these are the squares you're gonna need. Oh, I feel ridiculous. I can't even find it now. Thought it was right in here next to this thing. This is embarrassing. I am trying to find my big framing square. It basically just looks like an L. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, let's see if we can get this thing out. There we go. There we go. Framing square. Big boy. This is the original square. This is the original carpenter square. It has rafter tables on it. You can do everything that you can do with this, with the Speed Square, with this. You can do stairs with this. There is a way to do stairs with the Speed Square. I will be totally honest, it's 1,000 times easier to do it with the framing square. That's just my opinion. That's just, there's little gauges that you can put on it where you'll have, so you've got a 7-inch tread over a whatever inch run. You put the gauges on there, they screw down with little thumb screws. I use this when I'm building picnic tables. I'll put it to square the frame to the tabletop, just like that. So all of this together, and I didn't originally think of this, but I should have. Good, solid framing square. I think this is a Stanley. This was my wife's uncle's. He passed away a few years back. I say a few years, but it's more like 10 now. And he had this huge toolkit. I was very blessed to, at the time I was transitioning from doing EMS into carpentry, and my father-in-law, who, he's awesome, by the way. He's a mechanic, he's a carpenter, he's a farmer, he's everything. I mean, the man is the man. He inherited all of these tools, and he said, you know, I've got a big set of tools. I've got a big base of tools, because he's been building it up since he was 18 years old. He says, I'm going to go to Nick, and I'm going to see, you know, does he want some of this? And that's where I got this carpenter square. He asked me one day, he said, do you have a carpenter square? I said, I got a speed square, and I got, you know, a combination square. He says, no, a big carpenter square. I said, no, I don't. And he walked into his, I call it his junk room. He came out and he said, now you do. So that's how I got that. But you don't have to wait for a relative to die to get one. They sell them. They're not more than $20 at a hardware store, and they're well worth it. You'll use them for more things than you'll realize. You'll use this for squaring up corners of buildings. You'll use this for squaring up picnic tables. You'll use this for, you can use this for layout. You can use it, because this is exactly the thickness of a 2x4 on its side, and it is exactly 16 inches. So you just kind of roll it down. I don't do it like that. I use the speed square and a tape measure, but you can use this to do layout. This was the original tool. This was back in the building the pyramids, and Jesus was a carpenter. His stepdad Joseph was a carpenter, and he taught him how to be a carpenter. This type of square, not this one. Jesus didn't have a Stanley framing square. That type of square is what Jesus would have used. That type of square is what carpenters used before Jesus. I don't know why I didn't originally think, hey, we're going to put that in with the other squares, but the 3 squares I think you should own for your self-sufficient toolkit. This entire thing is under $30. You should have a big framing square, a 6-inch combination square, and a 6-inch Swanson speed square. I'm sorry, a 6.5. 7-inch rather. 7-inch Swanson speed square. So a speed square, a combination square, and a big framing square. And those are going to meet 99% of your needs as far as squares go. You can do woodworking with them. You can do carpentry with them. You can use them in metalworking. You can use them in, I use them in stone masonry. When I'm doing, if I got to do CMUs, they used to call them cinder blocks. They're concrete masonry units now. I'll use these squares to make sure that they're square. For under $30, you can have all the squares that you're going to need to build a house. That's it. That's all you're going to need as far as squares go. with these squares, a good tape measure, a good hammer, and a skill saw, you can build a house. I would want other equipment to do it too, but at its most basic form, you could even use a handsaw. With a saw, a hammer, and these squares, you can build anything. So, kind of rambled a bit there. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm going to end this video by saying I hope wherever you are, you're comfortable and that God is with you.